Hey everyone, Happy New Year. I guess this is the second episode of the new year, but it's the first solo episode. So if there's anyone out there that only listens to solo episodes for whatever reason, Happy New Year to you. I'm recording this on January 9th, so I've been back at work this week. But yeah, I had a good break. Had about 10 days off, spent a lot of time with Yuki and some with my friends, and had kind of a quiet New Year. Didn't go back home this year because I saw a family in October for the wedding. But anyway, yeah, had a nice relaxing time, and I hope everybody else had an either relaxing or fun winter holiday. So I'm kind of looking forward to the new year. I think for the podcast, at least for the solo episodes, I'd like to do more episodes with guests, with maybe not solo, I shouldn't say solo episodes, but all English episodes then. Obviously the last one I did was with Josh, so probably Josh will come back at some point, maybe multiple times this year, and then I'd like to have some other friends and guests come on the podcast and share maybe their experiences in Japan or in their home countries and stuff like that. But speaking of experiences, it's been about 3 weeks or so since Sota and my kind of tour, if we can call it that, our podcast events finished. I'm gonna talk this episode about kind of the places we went and maybe a little bit about the people in those places, and kind of give my impression, my ideas about those places and people. Some of these will be my personal, pretty much all of it will be my personal opinion, so I don't want to say that they're true by any means, and I of course don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so if some of the things I say are maybe not the most flattering, I'm sorry, I don't mean any offense, they're just kind of my opinions. But anyway, I'll leave it there for the intro. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Reilly Sullivan XD, and then Sota is Eigo no Sota. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, yeah, so Sota and I went to 6 cities, 6 regions, I guess you could say, around Japan between November and December. We went to, I think this is the order, Nagoya, Fukuoka, Sendai, Tokyo, Sapporo, Osaka. Was that 6? Nagoya, Fukuoka, Sendai, Tokyo, Sapporo, Osaka. Yeah, 6. Okay, cool. We went to those 6 cities. So I'll take them in order. First, we went to Nagoya, and I've been to Nagoya 2 times before. Last year for an event, and then also I visited a friend in Nagoya. And so my kind of impression of the city of Nagoya is that it's like the Japanese city, to be honest. It's kind of the most normal city. I think it very much feels like a place where people work and a place where people live. And it feels like a place where probably I could live. But to be honest, as a tourist, it didn't feel so much like a tourist spot for me. Now, that being said, I know there are tourist spots, especially like Nagoya Castle and I guess Legoland, I think, is not so far away, and Nagashima Spa Land and stuff. Maybe they're not technically in Nagoya, but in the area. But for me, I've been to a lot of castles, so I didn't go to Nagoya Castle. But anyway, it seemed kind of more a place where people live and work than a place where people kind of travel. That being said, the people in Nagoya, I think, maybe more than any other region in Japan, at least when I went there, were very proud of their food. So after the event, we went out to an izakaya, I think it's called Yamachan, right? Famous for tebasaki. So I had the Nagoya-style tebasaki, and what else did I have? I had tamasen, which is like egg and senbei, kind of this kind of like soft egg, almost like a dip. The way they did it at that izakaya, I guess, was like that. And those were both good. I liked them a lot. And we had some misokatsu on like a kind of skewer, like kushi misokatsu, and that was also good. I know Nagoya is also famous for Napolitan. I didn't have it while I was there because the Napolitan I have had in Japan, I'm not a big fan of. Kind of just spaghetti with ketchup. Not that interesting to me. I'm sure it seems kind of like a kid food to me, maybe popular with kids, but maybe not for me. Sorry, no offense. I've never had Nagoya Napolitan. Maybe it's better. I don't know. But yeah, but they were really proud of their food, and I think for most of the food, they have a very good reason. It was delicious. And that's about all I can say. I think that's all the kind of information I have about it from my experience. Next, we went to Fukuoka in Kyushu. So I'll say Fukuoka because I know maybe it's not the same as the rest of Kyushu. And to be honest, I haven't spent very much time in Kyushu at all. Actually, Yuki, my wife, both of her parents are originally from Kyushu. Her mom is from Fukuoka and her dad is from Kagoshima originally. So she's spent a lot of time there as a kid and also visiting family more recently. But I really haven't. It's kind of one of the things I feel kind of almost ashamed about being in Japan, as I've spent so much time here, but I haven't gone down to where her family is from. So maybe this year, or hopefully in the near future at least, I'll be able to go down there and spend some more time. But anyway, I've been to Fukuoka twice, both times for podcast events this year, or I guess last year and 2023. And I didn't spend too much time there, but both times I had a really good time. I walked around the city and kind of got to know it a little bit through walking. And it seems like a very fun city. It seems like a maybe young city for Japan, based on just my kind of feeling of it. Seems a little bit younger, and it seems like maybe there are more foreign people in Fukuoka per capita than other places in Japan. I could be wrong. Maybe that's just the people I saw on the street, but that's kind of my impression. It also seems like a city where people like to eat. When we were there, I think that the people at the Fukuoka event were all pretty proud of Fukuoka and Fukuoka food. Last 2023, I should say, I had motsunabe and mentaiko obviously were very good. I'm a fan of both dishes. And then this time we had I'm forgetting the name. Was it Ikejime? Something like that. Basically, there was a squid and a mackerel, I think it was saba, right? That came out, and the squid was still kind of alive. Like the tentacles, the squid's arms, were still moving, but the body had been like completely sliced, cut up into sashimi. And it was really good. But, and I mentioned this to Sota at the time, I'm not sure if it tasted that much better than regular sashimi. I don't know if I've just been eating good sashimi in Kagawa or what the reason is, but it was good, of course, but I'm not sure if the kind of extra grotesque part of having like a living or almost living animal on the plate was worth a little bit extra freshness. Maybe that's just my kind of American opinion. I think us Americans tend to be maybe a little bit less adventurous with our food, especially when it comes to seeing our food as an animal. I think a lot of our food tends to be kind of served in a way where it looks less like an animal, if that makes sense. We often have our food cut up already, not really like whole so much, or we deep fry it or something like that. So a lot of our food tends to be less animal looking, if that makes sense. But yeah, and the Fukuoka people, I think in general were like funny and warm and maybe outgoing. A lot of them, when we were there, were saying, oh no, we're not really like that. But from the people I met, I think they kind of were, and maybe we're just being modest or humble or something. But yeah, something like that. Anyway, next was Sendai. And Sendai was interesting. I spent the night in Sendai before the event. I think it was a Saturday night, maybe. The event was on Sunday, I think. So I hung out in Sendai, went drinking a little bit in some of the bars and talked to some Sendai locals. And they seemed kind of a bit reserved, not so loud or maybe not so outgoing, but they were still, kind and easy to talk to. And once I got talking to them, it was, casual and nice. And yeah, but then when we got to the event the next day, I actually asked everybody there, and I realized that I think nobody at the event was from the city of Sendai. So there were people from other places in Miyagi Prefecture and other places around the Tohoku region. So that kind of led me to think that maybe people from the Tohoku region are willing. I don't know if this is exactly a trait, but they're willing to travel. I don't know, like a couple of people, 2 or 3 people were from Aomori. A couple were also from Akita, and stuff like that, just coming from what I thought was very far away to come to our little podcast event. So I don't know if that's normal for them, if they often travel long distances to do things, or, I don't want to say that our event was so special that they came all that way. I don't know, that seems crazy to me. But again, kind of like the people I met in the bars, I think the people of Sendai were a little bit quieter, a little bit more reserved, but still kind and easy to talk to one-on-one. But maybe they aren't the kind of people that want to be like the life of the party, so to speak. They don't want to be the center of attention all the time, was kind of the impression I got. And yeah, okay. After that, I think was Tokyo. And yeah, Tokyo was obviously the biggest event with the most people. And Tokyo has people from all over the country. People who live in Tokyo come from everywhere. So it's hard to say, I guess, Tokyo people are like this, because Tokyo people, I guess, are a mix of people from all over Japan. But what can I say about the people of Tokyo? With that being said, I don't know. For dinner we went to a kind of Korean restaurant, and I think I can say that the people in Tokyo maybe drank the most, like, alcohol of any of the places I went to, which I like. I'm a big drinker, I guess. I like to drink alcohol, so that was good for me. I don't want to have that be the only thing I say about Tokyo people. I would also say that the Tokyo people were pretty interesting. Everyone that I asked about it had like interesting jobs, and had interesting things to say about traveling or whatever. It might have just been the topics that we talked about that at that time led to that. So I don't want to say that people from other regions are not interesting. But anyway, based on my Tokyo experience, that's what I felt. They were also, by the way, like some of the maybe loudest in terms of like how willing they were to speak during the event, how willing they were to kind of be the center of attention, and because these events were about kind of being an attractive speaker, as we said. Some of the things were like public speaking, and I think the people in Tokyo were the most willing to go out and speak in front of everybody else. Yeah. Next was Sapporo, and Sapporo as well. I went the night before, so I went out to the bars to meet some local people. And when we went, it was December, I don't remember the date, 13th, I think maybe December 13th was when I was there. And it was very cold. I think at night it got down to like -9, and it was snowing the whole time, and there was snow and ice on the sidewalks. But everyone was still walking around in the center of the city. The streets were still pretty busy. And I was kind of surprised by that, because I know if it was ever that cold in Kagawa, no one would be outside. Like, it would be kind of, people might step outside and go, wow, it's snowing, and then immediately go back under the kotatsu. So yeah, I think that was kind of impressive about Sapporo people. And also, I was walking around after dinner, and I stopped by this bar, and it said closed, but somebody from inside the bar came out, opened the door, and said, oh, yeah, we're closed, but you look cold, so come on in, and you can have a drink, whatever, it's fine. And so that was really nice. And then afterward, at the event, we were kind of talking about this. I think Sota asked, like, what are Hokkaido people like? And they said that they're kind of warm and welcoming. And so I told that story, and I said, yeah, I think Hokkaido people are welcoming. I don't know if people in other regions of Japan, if their business is not open and see someone outside, they say, oh, it's okay, come on in anyway. You can have a drink or have some food or whatever. That was kind of cool. I liked that. And then at the event, people were a little bit quieter, I want to say. It was maybe the quietest, to be honest, of all of the events. But it didn't feel like they were, how can I say this? It still felt warm, even though they were quiet. It didn't feel like they were cold, if that makes sense. Like it was a kind of quiet, comfortably quiet, if that makes sense. And yeah, I guess in about a month from now, in February, I'm going to go skiing in Furano with Yuki and my dad, actually. And I think we're going to stop in Sapporo before and maybe after skiing. So I'll have maybe some more experience and maybe some more things to say about Hokkaido after that. And then, yeah, okay, next was Osaka, right? And Osaka is probably the city of these 6 cities that I have the most experience with. I've probably spent the most time there. Yuki used to live there for about 4 years. So I would visit her there at least once a month. And I even kind of lived there for about a month and a half while I was waiting for my job in Kagawa to start. So yeah, I've been to I've been to Osaka quite a bit. And yeah, obviously the stereotypes are Osaka people like to be the center of attention. They like to kind of tell a lot of jokes, and maybe they can be a little bit rude sometimes or something like that. To be honest, I didn't feel that so much from the people at the events. What I can say is that they love to laugh. I think maybe more than any other region, when Sota or I, mostly Sota, told jokes, the Osaka people would laugh the most. Also, one more thing about Osaka, I don't know if this is a thing in general, but the Osaka events had more kids than any of the other events. Not a ton. I forget, maybe 5 or 6 kids came to the events. So maybe, I don't know, are Osaka kids brave or powerful compared? Maybe not just Osaka. Kansai kids are brave or powerful compared to kids in other regions. I don't know. But based on my experience, maybe I can say that. And I think that rounds it off. Yeah, those are just kind of my experiences. And these are all coming from someone who has lived in Kagawa pretty much the whole time I've lived in Japan. So, yeah, I don't know if it's hard for me to say what Kagawa people are like or what Shikoku people are like, because that's the kind of, when I think of Japanese people, I guess I think of Kagawa people, Shikoku people, because those are the ones that I mostly know. So it would be hard for me to say what people here are like exactly. That's a tough one. I would say maybe laid back and relaxed compared to the rest of Japan. I don't know. I think maybe Shikoku has this reputation for being kind of like countryside. Maybe the people have a reputation for being like backwards or behind the times or something like that. And that might be true. I don't know. Maybe because I live in Takamatsu, like one of the biggest cities on Shikoku, maybe it's less so here. Maybe it would be more in the kind of towns around or in the mountains or whatever. But I don't know. To be honest, it seems not so behind the times, but I don't know. I can't say. It's kind of like, a fish. Does a fish know that water is wet? You know what I mean? Like a fish is in the water the whole time, so can it tell that it's wet? Probably not. So me living in Kagawa, it may be difficult for me to say what it's like. But anyway, I want to say that I hope I didn't offend anybody with what I said about each of the regions. I had a very good time in all of them. And yeah, this one's getting a little bit long, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.